What kind of game can I make using only emotes? What kind of madness will ensue? Can I even make 3D games anymore? Or you can't do that. Hey guys. I'm Brandon from Sasquatch B Studios, and recently I received an email asking if I wanted to. Actually, why don't I just show you? Dearest Brandon, how come you've posted over 100 videos, yet you've literally never once made a game in 3D? Maybe you're not a real game developer. Make a game in 3D, or you're chicken. P.S. You can also only use emotes. Love, Kinetics. Well, challenge accepted, Kinetics. Also, really quick, I really just want to thank the person that pointed out to me that my glasses sit crooked on my face because it's literally all I can think about now. Anyways, so I want to thank Kinetics so much for sponsoring this video. More about them a little bit later. Right now, let's get into the video. So the challenge is to make a game using emotes only. So I sat and I brainstormed for about 33 seconds, had a few ideas, and made my professional game design document, which is literally, I think 99% of this is scrapped at this point. I just wung it instead. So the idea is you are a lone caveman trying to get yourself initiated into a new tribe. But to do that, you have to pass their test. Win and you get initiated into the tribe. Lose and you're left out in the cold to succumb to starvation and hypothermia and the very depressing status of being a loner. Now that you're all caught up lore-wise, what's the actual gameplay loop here? Basically, the tribe is going to shout out the name of a tribal dance, or an emote. And you'll have to pick which one you think it is from your emote wheel based on just the icon alone. It's actually a lot more fun than it sounds. So I started off by importing the Kinetics package, which is the base of the whole gameplay loop. The emotes, dealing with the accounts, the emote wheel, everything. So when you first import, you get this really sexy red guy here that you can play around with, which is great and all, but he's not very caveman-ish. So my wife Nikki went hunting for caveman models online and found these two, and I love them. So my biggest concern was, how do I get emotes from this guy over to my new character models? And it really has been a couple of years since I've even touched a 3D scene. I just prefer working in 2D. The games that I'm making are 2D games. So I was feeling pretty intimidated at this point, and I really just assumed it was going to be a giant pain to do this. But I was hopeful because on the Kinetics website, they mentioned that they have an AI that can retarget your animations to different avatars. And I'm honestly always a little bit sketched out when I hear stuff like that, because whenever I hear about a plug and play solution that's supposed to just work, it always ends up being hours of debugging on my end. So I wasn't sure what to expect here. But I uploaded my two models, and it's not instant right now. I had to wait 2 days. But I pressed on and I continued coding the basic gameplay elements while I waited for the refactoring, and I got myself familiar with the package. You've got an inventory of emotes, the emote wheel itself, a context menu where you can play emotes based on a certain event, and this create tab, which I'll show you a little bit later because it's really cool. But once the refactoring was done, I imported my two models and I plugged in my animator into this slot here, and that was it. It just worked. I was able to use my emotes on this little caveman guy. So my first order of business was to assign enough emotes to actually fill the wheel. Now here's where I had a lot of fun using their software. Remember that little create tab I showed you over here? So what that allows you to do is to create your own emote using a video from your phone. So you scan the QR code and you take a video while trying not to look like an idiot, but you're probably going to fail spectacularly. Then you upload it, and it's going to get added right into your inventory here. So Nikki and I both made you some special and not at all lame emotes that are built right into the game. But this tool is for users. So anyone playing the game that goes to this create tab can make their own emotes and import them into the game. But if you don't want to do that, I left enough animations in there so that you don't have to. You can use ours instead. For the bulk of them though, I just went to Kinetics' huge emote library and grabbed the ID from there and gave it to the user like so. They currently have the world's largest emote library, so there are a lot to choose from. They even have a mature content section in there. Let's go check that out real quick. Oh my god, it's so beautiful. I love all of them. And really, the rest was just grabbing a reference to the name of the emote, display it, and then put in a check to see whether you guessed the right one or not. Fill up the red meter with enough incorrect guesses and you lose. Fill up the green meter by guessing right enough times and you win. Super simple gameplay loop. And a loop this simple really needs some strong environment and some good juice in order to actually feel fun to play. And this is where my rustiness with 3D really showed because wow, I was slow at making the environment. Luckily, I do have some nice 3D assets that I can use. So I was able to upload a nice nighttime skybox, as well as just some general environment art in the background. And it's like riding a bike. Once I got used to working in the 3D space, I had a lot of fun playing around with this. Once that was done, I actually wanted to have the tribe behind the player and either have them cheer or boo based on your guess. I brought them in and literally every single time I forget to constrain the rigid body. Every single time. Now, I despise making animations in 2D, and the thought of doing it in 3D was just so much worse. But remember this little button over here? Yeah, I just used a video and then used that. So now you'll actually have some crowd reaction based on whether you guessed right or wrong. Next, I added some nice juice. Little camera zoom, flashes, sound effects, shake the meter that fills, all that stuff. It made a really big difference. Now, at this point, I realized that the game was way too hard. And one of the most difficult things you can do in game development is properly finding a way to balance difficulty. This is something that can take weeks or even months, but I bit the bullet. I sat down and I mentally prepared myself for this. Actually, it's already done. I just went ahead and changed the win conditions. And to trick people into thinking that this is a AAA game, I added a character selection screen. Fancy stuff. And the part of this project that I was really dreading because I assumed it was going to be really difficult was setting this up in a way so that everybody could have their own unique account with their own unique inventory. Because you do unlock new emotes every time you win the game, and so far I had just been testing this in the editor. Plus you can create your own emotes in the game. But again, honestly, that was all really easy to set up. The only part that I really had to handle was getting the user to enter their own username. And again, to trick people into thinking that this is a AAA experience, I made it so you have to enter a username. Look at that. But honestly, the back end of all of the complicated account stuff is handled by the Kinetics SDK. I just followed their documentation and got it working fairly easily. Stick around to watch me and Nikki play the game through at the end of this video. Again, I want to thank Kinetics for sponsoring this video. What they offer game developers is very simple. Self-expression tools for gameplay. Obviously, basing a game around emotes like I did in this video is not the most optimal way to utilize emotes, but I had to get a little bit creative so that I could showcase their tools without having to build an entire multiplayer game around it. And making authentic content on this channel really matters to me. With that being said, I can honestly say that as a self-expression tool, Kinetics offers a really easy plug and play experience. And with Kinetics, you have the choice of either utilizing user-generated content, meaning this little button over here that allows users to create their own emotes using their phone, or you can just tap into the world's largest emote library and grab whatever you need from there. Think Giphy, but for emotes. That's basically what the emote library is. And of course, you can try out their software for free by grabbing a key from their developer portal. I'll throw a link to their website down below in the description. Now, without further ado, here's the game. Also really quick, if you want to try out the game that I made, it's on itch.io. Go try it out. It's a lot of fun to play around with, and the link for that is also down below in the description. Press P. So it's going to display the name.
Oh yay, that was easy.
You unlocked a new emote too.
Oh. Okay, I'm kind of good at it.
You are way too good at it.
Fuck you, Buck. Hey, there's a game that I'm better at than you. Brag and claps. Okay, I got that one perfect.
I've never done that. All right, my turn now. I don't know how Nikki did so good. 2 in a row. Should add a check for that. Ooh, my first wrong one. I don't want to lose. What? I think I already tried that one. Oh no, I'm gonna lose. Sad anger. Hold on. Where's air thrusting? I lost. Oh my god. That's so embarrassing. It's embarrassing because I have played this game so many times. I like that one. Bragging claps. Is it this one? Yes. Okay. Oh no. I'm seriously concerned about my memory Suck it, Nikki. I also got a perfect game. Thanks so much, guys. See you in the next one. Bye. I want to give a very special thank you to all of our Hall of Fame patrons, Jakob Yondok, Christopher Nichols, Zonder Kessler, Fontaine Waite, Brainwaves to Binary, Couch, Dan Brooking, and Ian Oral, as well as our early access patrons. Ken Waite, Mason Crow, Mr. D, Jan, Liquid Egg, Alexander Prestis, Varagon Studios, Abdulaziz Hamad Alanazi, Ober, Bill Guo, Alone on Mars, Code Jutsu, Ayash Sharma, Alex Friedman, Neil, Danny X, and Ben Kerberger. If you choose to support us on Patreon, you can get early access to all of our YouTube videos, monthly alpha builds, and more.